This is first of all, you are welcome in this course, and the title is Introduction to Economics of Climate Emergency. I'm Dr. Zubairul Islam, instructor of this course. This course is divided into 7 chapters. The first chapter, as usual, that is the definition, importance, and significance why we are studying the climate change or climate as an emergency. The second chapter is we will see the climate system on the surface of the earth, and then uh, climate change and its impacts. The chapter 4 is how we what are the mitigating how we can mitigate the climate change. The chapter 5 is how we can adapt to climate change. Chapter 6 is what are the environmental conservation and sustainability measures. And chapter 7 is how society and community can be engaged to combat the climate change. So let's begin with the chapter 1, which has 3 subsections like 1.1, 1.2, and 1.3. The first part, that is the definition of climate emergency. What is climate emergency? Here we know the climate. Climate is the average condition of weather for longer time, maybe 30 years, the average of the temperature or the precipitation or another factors. And why we are including emergency? Because climate is changing, and because of this change is a universal truth. Throughout geological history, climate has changed. So the climate is changing. It has never been stable, but the rate of change has been too fast. That is why a situation emerge, then that situation is the emergency. So this is what urgent and critical situation because of the climate change, and this climate change is driven. Why it is fast? Because it is driven by some human activities. Okay, so this climate emergency is not a very I mean, it is a new term which emerged uh, especially since 2019, sorry, 2016 here. So at present, if you see, there are 39 countries which have made the climate emergency declaration. And as you can see, there are 3 colors. The light color shows that the federal government has not declared the climate emergencies in the countries, which shows by this light blue color. But the dark blue color shows that the federal government has declared the climate emergency. There are 2 dark color here. First, these countries have declared prior to European Union declaration, but these countries declared climate emergency after the declaration of the European Union countries. Uh, okay, now let's move. What are the major aspects of climate emergency? The major aspect, first of all, this is not climate change is not a local phenomena, it's a global phenomena. It needs the networking, it needs the joint actions. That is why it has a global significance, because the climate does not have boundary, though there are climate zones, but as far as the responsibility is concerned, that all the countries, whatever they are producing the gases, so they have to take a joint action for that. Second is urgency and scale. So the situation that demands the immediate attention and action. Okay, because why it is urgent? Because if the actions will not be taken today, it will be too late to control that rate of change. Then the impact of on developing countries. Uh, as we know, there are different levels of development, varies country to country. Especially the developing countries are more dependent on agriculture, and this weather or climate change has more impacts like there is extreme weather conditions, there are droughts, rising sea level, and uh, the most important is the impact on the agriculture. Here, the economic implications. What are the economic implications? There are many human activities like agriculture, which are highly associated or correlated with the climatic conditions. If climate is changing, it will impact on the arable land. Okay, it will impact the water. Okay. Then we come to the social and health impacts due to this climate change. There are some social and health issues, like there are some, the climate related diseases. Okay, and these diseases are increasing, and the reason is the climate change. Then the call for transformational change. Okay, the climate emergency, there is a need of transformational changes. The how society operate, they should shift their means towards the renewable energy. They should shift to the sustainable agriculture and the climate friendly infrastructure. There is a need of research and innovation now. So the research and innovation is not only that how you can mitigate the climate problems, but also how human being can adjust or adopt into the changing condition of climate. There are some ethical and moral dimensions also, and this is the future generation. Okay, of course, in 20, 30 years, it is possible. I mean, uh, slowly you can manage, but you have to think of the future generation. And then the second point of this chapter one is the what is the importance of climate issues. So when there is a question, what is the importance? You have to think from the viewpoint of economics, social, and environmental stacks. Now let's begin with the economic stacks. Of course, the agriculture productivity. Okay, uh, there is, the it impacts the food security, livelihood, because of the shifting of weather patterns and all. Economic growth and stability. So climate change can disrupt this economic growth because of this some extreme weather like flood and droughts. They can damage the infrastructure and they can reduce the economic productivity. Then the resource scarcity. There are, some areas where, especially the water resource, the surface water resource, very important for livelihood. If due to climate change, if this is I mean, the problem of the water will be there, then it will affect the economics. Then energy demand and cost, you have to see that if you are using more fossil fuels, then of course fossil fuels prices will be high. And when the prices will be high, it will impact the economy down. So this is the economic sector which is influenced because of this climate change. Now we come to the social aspect. Social aspect, there are some health issues. Uh, there are some diseases, then displacement of the people. They are migrating from the their origin area to especially the urban areas here. So again, in urban areas, there are more problems emerging. Education and development, this disruption because of this climate change can affect the educational outcomes, especially in the rural areas, okay, which are vulnerable to environmental impacts. Then community and cultural disruption, the traditional way of life. Okay, when people are living in different places, they have their own culture, and if the people from this area they are influenced because of this climate change, they will move to another place here, then it will impact the there will be some, the cultural disruption, and there will be some conflicts also. So this is related to the social stacks here. Then we will talk about the environmental stacks here. Due to climate change, of course, there is a biodiversity loss, especially those areas where the climate is changing. And due to this change, there is a change in the tree cover or forest cover, and the life which is dependent on the forest will be affected. The ecosystems will be degraded, like forest area, wetland area, coral reefs. Okay, these are the ecosystems. And because of this climate change, there will be problems to the ecosystem. Then this is the pollution and environmental health problems due to the climate change. Then the global and local environmental changes will be there due to the climate change. And the third point in the first chapter is what is the current situation and what are the future impacts. The current situation is, if you will see this graph from 1880 to 2020, and if you see here the red lines, first of all, see this scale here, difference from 1901 to 2000, average. So if you take the average of 100 years and 100 years, and this is the average of 100 years. Suppose the average of 100 years is, for instance, 15 degree. So here till 1940 it was below 50, okay, but now it has come to the 16 if you are taking the average of 100 years. So this side of especially from 1940, and why this is 1940, because from this time uh, here uh, the agriculture changes, then industrial changes has been uh, upside. I mean the population growth also, if you will see here, you will see the graph like this here of population growth. Then the population increase means there is a problem, more climate change is there due to the industrialization, due to the transport and urban development and agriculture development. So this is the graph which can help you to understand that what is the current situation, how means global temperature has risen. And here this is the another graph which shows from 2003 to 2023, and these 20 years of difference you can see here. The here this is not the temperature, this is the carbon dioxide, the level of carbon dioxide. Okay, so in 2003 it was around 375, maybe 375 parts per million, but now it has touched to 416 particles per million. So this is the increase. What? Increase in carbon dioxide. So the growth rate also can be seen here. uh, per annum. The growth rate is, you can see here, the annual increase of uh, average carbon dioxide. So uh, because when uh, when this is the earth here, and in this earth, if this is the atmosphere, so once you add the carbon dioxide in the atmosphere, okay, so it remains in the atmosphere, and this gas is a big problem. I mean, this gas trap the incoming solar radiation, and it works like a greenhouse effect. So if you will see this graph here, in this graph also, now there is a less cold weather extremes than hot weather extremes are more than cold weather extremes. So what are the future projection? The future projection is the temperature will increase. It is increasing. Okay. Then the extreme weather events will be intensified. It will impact on weather resources, water resources. It will impact the agriculture. There will be socio-economic impacts. There will be health risk, and there will be migration. So this we have already discussed. But here, as you can see, that this graph shows the change in the precipitation. So there are some areas where precipitation is increasing also, but unfortunately those areas are the oceanic areas here, and high polar areas where but in most of the continental areas, the land areas, here it is expected that the precipitation will decrease here. It is towards minus side here. And if you will see from the viewpoint of Nigeria here, the vulnerability to climate impacts, of course, it is there. There will be a change in the rainfall pattern, which will affect the agriculture and water resources. And urbanization and climate stress. Due to this rapid urbanization, there will be some climate-induced stress. There may be a flooding problem and heat islands. What is this heat islands? If you will see here, and if this is a road here, and this is the urban settlement. So if you will compare the surrounding area, the surrounding area, if in the surrounding area the temperature is 30 degree annual average, we will find here annual average may be 35 degree. So this area is known as the the heat islands. So as urban areas will grow, the heat island, it is expanding more. Okay. And now there is some policy and adaptation measures. Of course, government should formulate or should think of the policies, and the communities and the government put together, they have to plan something, how they can mitigate and how they can adapt this climate change. So this was all about the chapter 1. Hope you understand it, and for further you can take the words and you can search the Google. You will find many more things related to this concept, definition, and present situation of the climate change. So thank you so much. This is about the chapter 1.